Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ampliverse Book Club. We are back, and this month we read the very spooky Carrie by Stephen King. So here's the lineup of today's book club, using quotes from the book. More like Lovecraft out of Arkham than Kerouac out of Southern Cal. It's Allie. I had no idea what... I could gather...
I don't know what that... All I know is that, I hear Arkham and I just think about Batman.
Yeah.
So.
And, more like Lovecraft out of Arkham than Kerouac out of Southern. So it's like comparing...
Listeners, if you understand this quote...
please write in.
Comment below.
Comment below, yeah. Please tell us. Okay.
Well, I like it either way.
Yeah. It's a thinker, which I think is apropos for Allie. There was one like them in every white suburban high school in America, is Kathryn.
Kind of.
I
don't think you're wrong.
Yeah. I saw that quote and I was like, well, this does apply to all of us technically. I think we're all
probably. we all fit in.
And then finally, the Kool-Aid of human emotions. It's me, RJ. Hello, everyone. Well, welcome.
So refreshing.
Like I said, thank you. Oh, yeah. We are talking about Carrie today. This is our first Stephen King. And we'll start off the conversation by asking each other, how did we like this book? Now, Kathryn, you started last time. Do you want to start it again?
I can wait. I can be last.
Okay. Allie, let's start with you.
Okay. I had zero experience with Stephen King. I've never read a Stephen King book. I've never seen a Stephen King movie. Not even The Green Mile.
I've never seen a Stephen King book. I've never seen it.
Is that what I said? Okay.
No,
you said movie. Movie.
The lead up sounded like you were about to say.
I haven't even seen The Green Mile, and knowing how much I love Tom Hanks, that's kind of shocking.
That will be a really good one for you, honestly.
Yeah. So I don't like to be spooked. It's just not for me. And so I feel like if you engage in culture even a little, like you have to know the ending of Carrie, or at least what happens to her at prom, right? And so like I knew that blood was involved. On one of the later episodes of Glee, they recreate this moment with a slushie. So garbage.
I know that.
Yep.
I missed that episode.
It's okay. I watched it so you don't have to.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I will say, so Kathryn, you said last week, you were like, this is not the genre for me. I felt the same this week. I was like, this is not the genre for me. I'm glad that I read it and that I can now be like, I've read a Stephen King book. But I didn't realize how violent it was going to be, especially at the end. I was like, this is carnage. Like, this is a lot. So, so I have more to say, but I'll just say, not for me, but I know others love it, and that's good too.
Okay, Kathryn, how about you? How did you like this book?
So I was typing because I didn't know if I was going to wait till after you went. So I was like, let me type out. Because when you said that you didn't realize how violent it was going to be, the thing is that to me, this is one of the more tame Stephen King. And so I was like, because that's part of the reason that so first of all, I love Carrie, but I also love Stephen King. And so it's like, this is quintessential Stephen King. And it was his first novel. I can't remember if this one or The Shining was the first one that I read, but I read them back to back whenever I read them. So I always put them together. So then after I read this, I immediately had to read The Shining. Like the Pavlov situation in my head was like, it's The Shining time.
Next.
Yeah. And then I reread Doctor Sleep, and I've been on a kick. So I'm on like my 5th Stephen King now in a row. But all that being said, I love this genre. But what I really like about King isn't even the horror aspect. I think the horror aspect is what keeps me engaged easily, because it's shocking. So it like pulls you in. It pulls me in. But I love the non-traditional aspects that are very evident in his early writings, like Carrie and The Shining. And honestly, I had forgotten about them because I've read so many of his modern stuff, like so many of his modern books now. And he kind of drifts away from that. There's still some of it, but that stream of consciousness, line of thought, the non-traditional narrators and the non-traditional delivery, like when we have the interview in Carrie, for example, and how we start at a time where they're kind of assuming you already know what happened. Like I really enjoy all of that, and that's pretty common in his earlier work, but it's not as much in his later work. But yeah, anyway, I love it, but I knew that I would. It is my genre, this one.
Well, I'm glad that we can seesaw back and forth. Everyone gets everyone gets a time. I feel like I'm in between of both of you. There are parts of it that I kind of like agree with Allie of like, it's not for me in a sense of like, I mean, even when we read The Book Eaters, like the more graphic kind of like, just the like use of, like violating other people. I was like, I don't know. I also just don't like being spooked. But I definitely agree with you, Kathryn, that like the non-traditional writing was literally that's what kept pulling me in. Like when they would go into quotes of like sourcing the articles, sourcing the novel that Sue wrote, sourcing the different like testaments, and that I was like, oh my God, I almost wanted to just like read like
Sue's book. I wanted to read Sue's book.
I wanted to read Sue's book, but I definitely wanted to read like the case, like that like essay of like what happened. That I was like, I kind of just want. He's built such a world of like, there's so much writing about this, and I'm like, I would much rather read the writing now because I want to know like how people processed it.
Give me the dossier.
Give me absolutely. Give me the JSTOR. Give me the give me the bibliography at the end of Carrie. Absolutely, and that just shows what books to borrow at the library.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like that really was what hooked me in, and the stream of consciousness. I think like that was being able to hear, and then first of all, being able to hear Carrie's inner thoughts, and then realizing that was actually her power manifesting through the page of like, oh, she's like, there's a sense of control that she's doing there, especially at the end with Sue, that I was like, oh, like she's doing this to me, like
she's invading your mind.
She's invading me. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And like, I think that's definitely, it is kind of a bummer knowing that like he doesn't do this as much anymore. So maybe I'll stick to more of the, some of the earlier stuff, because I think this to be his first novel, like that's insane that like, this, I don't know. It's fun to see people do great things with what, when they are doing what they're meant to do.
Right. So he had written a lot of short stories. Okay. And something that was new information for me, the audiobook that I borrowed from the library had an intro from Stephen King that I did not have in my edition that I read when I read it forever ago. And it was read by Stephen King. So that's kind of cool too. But he was talking about how basically he was a teacher, and like whenever they had like a big medical bill for one of their kids or something, his wife would be like, write a story, and he would like sell it to a literary magazine, and they would have the money to pay for whatever they
whatever. What a dream.
So right. So one day, there was some medical ailment of a child, and she was like, write a story. And he wrote out the beginnings of Carrie or what eventually became Carrie. And then he threw it away because he said he was haunted by ghosts because Carrie is based on two girls that he actually knew. But like, obviously the telekinesis part isn't there.
Yeah.
But like the severe bullying, the knowing that he should do something but never doing anything about it, and like all of these things. And so when he was creating this character, all he could think about is these two girls from high school that were both dead at this point, one of whom killed herself and the other of whom died in some tragic accident, I believe. He says what it is in the intro. But it was fascinating because it was like, that's what led him to become who he is today. Because his wife fished it out of the trash because she was like, you got to write something. We need the money. And she was like, why aren't you? This is amazing. And he was like, I can't. And he skipped it. And then when he came back to it, this is what happened. So it's it's very fascinating to think like what a difference these girls made in not only Stephen King's life, but like literally society. And when they were in high school, they were the non-telekinetic version of Carrie, and that sucks.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, we'll kind of just like go into the conversation now, but I think that is always my hesitation with anything involved teens, whether it's like, I don't even watch a lot of like high school themed shows and stuff. Like Heartstopper was probably the last one that I watched. And because why would you relive the worst years of your life? You know what I mean? I hated those first years of high school. I only enjoyed high school when I ended up finding my clique, my group, and just kind of like stayed in my bubble. And I literally I stayed in my bubble. It wasn't until like at the end of senior year when my entire class all collectively had senioritis that we were finally being like, oh, you're cool. Oh, I can talk to you. Like, we were all just trying to survive, that I didn't want to go back to do that. So I did have that feeling, and like, it did make me think about like those times where if we were seeing people getting bullied, or even like when I was being bullied, you know, like that feeling of like, you have all of these thoughts, these things to like, I can fight against this. I know exactly what to say, blah, 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 blah. But like, when put in those situations, there's like nothing you can do, and feel like there is nothing you can do. Which I definitely feel like for Carrie, that was like super relatable. And obviously this is put it to like high stakes because she's also supernatural, but like, you feel for her and like you understand like what drives her to the things that she does. You know? Mm-hmm. Thoughts on high school?
I don't know, to be honest, that I could ever understand mass murder.
That's true.
Fair.
But
that is very true.
Fair enough.
I get why she was angry.
Fair.
Would I have
always
done
like
what
equate
she did?
in my
Probably
mind.
not.
Yeah, I mean, I always equate that, like, if they're supernatural in some way, then they are, like, it is hormones times, like, a million. Like, you fully can't control it.
I get that vibe, too. And that's what I was going to say. Not just hormones times a million, but also, like, she has no idea how to take, like, the only thing she knows about this is that she can do it. You know what I mean? She doesn't know what's going to happen until it starts happening. Yeah. And is she probably like not the best person deep down? Yeah, because she murdered a bunch of people, but she's like that because all of these people treated her like garbage for so long. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have reserved sympathy. Like, totally. Because mass murder. Yeah.
It does remind me of the like meme of like gay guys watching any like crazy woman on TV, and then the quote is honestly work, because that's how I felt the entire time. I was like,
for her.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The one from
Arrested Development.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of Arrested Development.
Oh, maybe it is Arrested Development. Anyway, but it's like me watching a woman on Snapped, and it's good for her.
Oh. Yes, exactly.
Maybe it is Arrested Development. I think you're right.
Maybe there's two.
It's also possible.
I think it's so. One of the things. Okay, I get it. I don't know. So on 30 Rock,
I think I know what you're about to say.
Well, like, listen, on 30 Rock, there was this episode when they were like, why does this show hate women? And part of it was that there was like this show within a show. It was like a sketch show. And they showed that they had this like recurring sketch of these women who were in power. So it was like Amelia Earhart or something. And she'd be like, I'm flying off across the Atlantic. Oh no, my period. And she immediately crashes the plane. And so it was like, I couldn't help but think that.
Absolutely.
That it was just like that it was just like everything was going along great, and then oh no,
but
she got
wasn't.
her period, and it led like I know, and I absolutely understood. I think what bothered me, I absolutely understood what he was trying to do here with this, and that it was like this was this girl who knew nothing about her body, she knew nothing about the world around her, and everyone was making fun of her for it. I think what really bothered me was at the very end when Sue was running away and it was like, and the blood gushed down her leg. And I was like, I don't like this as a full circle moment. I don't like,
I know.
Well, but, and you get that it wasn't her period, it was a miscarriage. Did you get that part? Okay.
Oh, because he was
because her period was late. Yeah, that was the baby. And and I mean Carrie says something to her, right? Or is that in one of the movies? Is it in the book or one of the movies, or do you guys remember?
I don't remember specifically.
It must be in the movie then, because I watched the remake of the movie, I think it's 2013. I didn't really like it. It was fine. But like they modernized it and a lot of things didn't work because they did that. Like I was like, why is her teacher slapping her? It's 2013. That's not gonna fly. Like
snap out of it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm so sorry. And then that's it. Like it's fine. But that being said, in the movie, she says to her, it's a girl. And then
can I also ask, I kept being thrown because I kept thinking it was taking place in like the 1950s, but it wasn't.
It's like the 70s, right?
It's supposed to take, and it's like it was like the time
when
it was like
out?
supposed to take place at the time like when my parents were in high school. And so I don't know if it was like knowing that. I don't know what it was, but it was just the whole time I was reading it, I was like picturing them in, their little like poodle skirts and like leather jackets and Grease basically. And I don't know, it kind of threw me for him. And I don't know what it was about it, but it just threw me. Maybe it was just me, but
there is a little bit of like it's like like our parent it would be like our parents as teenagers, and there was that like weird I don't know if it's like counterculture-y, but that like very nostalgic view of like kids could just like, or teenagers could just like go to the bar and smoke cigarettes and drink like they did.
Oh.
I didn't make that connection at the end. I just assumed that it was like, I don't know. I mean, I knew it was trying to make a full circle out of it, but I gave it the like thing of like, well, is it a curse? Like maybe there's like, well, something happened to Sue, but I mean, I think he goes super in depth on like the fucking genomes that I'm like, okay. So it's like, and I thought that was cool to be, it's a very Jurassic Park really, of like trying to like explain like, no, these things could happen. This is the science. And it's
the
almost like
genetics that sound real.
Then I'm like, you can make anything make sense at this point. You can.
Okay. I was going to ask about that because when again, like further proving that this just like wasn't for me. When I was reading it, I was like, are we really going here? It's a genetic thing, and like men are hemophiliacs and women are like crazy telekinesis people. And I was like, I thought it was an interesting diversion. Like it wasn't what I was expecting going into it. I thought that it was just going to be like, here's a thing that's happening, but I didn't think it was going to be like what will we do to save society from future Carries?
Right. Yeah. I think that's the whole point. Is it raises the stakes because I think that it's pointing out that we created this monster because this is genetic, like this is happening other places, but this explosion mass murder is not. And so to me, that's what it means for me is it's like, okay, what did we do here? And by all accounts, you know what I mean? Like all of the things that are further removed, obviously not Sue's account, but the further removed accounts, they have no idea that this girl has been so brutally bullied her entire life. They don't understand that. Anyway, that's how I read it.
Yeah. And I always I kept getting the reaction that it was just there to kind of foil Margaret's mania, of like that she thinks that this is a curse from the devil. That it's like trying to put into context like how people can't make sense of what's actually going on, so they kind of use like religion as a way to explain everything. And obviously it's to like an incredible degree, because she is essentially like a Carrie without the telekinesis. Like even the whole like very graphic description of how she gave birth to this beautiful baby girl, I was like, I didn't need to know that.
that she then tried to kill. It's like
a moment of silence for Margaret White.
I'm beyond. She's like, it's not just mania, it's like mania to the power of mania. Like,
yes.
Mania squared.
Mania squared.
There was a part of me that was like, how is she living life? I kept picturing her like at her laundry job, just like muttering to herself about her coworkers and just like the power of Satan in her and like what
that
it
was
must,
cute.
like.
Yeah.
I was like, how is she getting through life if she's like this level of lunacy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I gotta say, in the 2013 remake, first of all, that's Julianne Moore plays Margaret White.
Nothing but respect for my president.
And this bitch at the laundromat is crazy. I did not have that moment while reading the book where I was like, how is she surviving in society? When I saw that in the film, I was like, what is happening? The Stitch Ripper things that are like a little V?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, somebody was trying to talk to her, like trying to get something.
And she was like,
She's stabbing herself in the leg with it. I was like, what is happening and why? Like, and then, so in the film, I felt like that Carrie was a lot more compassionate toward her mother, unnecessarily so, because she was just like, Mama, don't hurt yourself. I'm like, no, forget her. Jesus. It was weird.
Yeah. I had seen the original movie a long time ago. Sissy Spacek played the iconic Carrie White, Piper Laurie, and John Travolta was Billy. And I remember being like, oh, that's John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. Like, because he looked exactly like him,
the hair,
his character there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was reading it, I just kept experiencing like playing the movie in my mind to like match. And I think what I didn't remember her also having, I didn't remember about her. All I remembered was like the scenes in the house, obviously, and the prayer closet and all that. But yeah, I think that was the part that I was like, is she normal at work? Is she just like fully like, and I'm clocking in and I'm just trying to, fix these garments. And then as soon as I'm clocked out, I'm back to whipping myself, Mama. Yeah. Like but then that's the thing, like what ends up driving her to like want to kill Carrie, obviously, is seeing Carrie's seeing all of her fears coming true. And it's just this, I don't know, it's so sad. And I have been also very in the headspace of like, what was my Catholic upbringing? Like, because that was used, not saying that she was Catholic, because I don't think she is. But like,
I think she's like some kind of Doug or something.
yeah.
Well, she was nothing because they didn't
She was
actually
nothing.
go to church.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, neither do the Duggars. They have their own in their house. So,
But yeah,
Just saying.
it's that idea of like, because I know in my experience, like guilt is used as a main, you know,
I know that's right.
Yes, it's like a way to make you do things. And
Yeah.
what is
I don't think this has come up
Yeah.
I don't think this has come up in this podcast, but I think I've mentioned it to you before, RJ. I was raised, my dad is a cradle Catholic, so he was born into Catholicism.
into it?
And
Yeah.
my mom was raised Southern Baptist. And so I was raised in a household where we went to both churches my entire childhood. I was in church more often than I wasn't in church.
Yeah.
And that was quite an experience. And if you're going to pick two denominations of Christianity
Those are not the two.
guilt, with the most guilt, it's those.
Yeah.
It's those.
It's
that's
like
relatable.
It's like used as a way, and I think like in reading this, obviously you're watching the like super extent of it, like in, you know, a level of mania and lunacy, but like the bits
It's
are
manipulative.
there. Yeah.
It's manipulative. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and when you were talking about not wanting to revisit high school, I don't either, but I just have blocked it all out. So it's fine. So you just watch stuff. It doesn't matter because I don't remember. So good times. Good times.
Can we talk about the strange wisdom of Tommy?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when he so first of all, I don't understand why Sue couldn't have just been like, "Hey, Carrie, I'm really sorry." Instead, she had to be like, "I'm not going to say anything to Carrie, but you take her to prom." I was like, "Girl, just a pop." What?
It's that idea of like, well, you know, I want her to have like her own experience, but it's like, but that's already a lie then. So
right,
then just
right. Well, but to me, the motivation is penance. Like, not just I want her to have an experience, but I don't deserve to have one because I did this terrible thing. And so as a result, I'm going to hide in my house. But I still
but she could have said it like
yes.
Yeah.
She could have been like, "Hey, I'm really sorry." Like
I
like,
agree.
Just
Yeah.
go.
It was a different time then.
It was a different time. But when she was talking to Tommy, when she was like, "Hey, can you take Carrie?" He was like, "Don't you understand? This is what is going to happen. We're going to graduate high school and we're all going to stay here."
I
and
know.
And I was like, how does he have this kind of like insight into small town America?
Maybe because
like,
he's going to die.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
Maybe.
like a sense of like something's gonna happen.
But I was just, the whole time I was reading it, I was like, this is a weird choice for his character. Because it's like, it's not just being like, he's not really a dumb jock, but it's like giving him this almost like oracle-like quality.
Well, again, it's like, maybe that's why. Maybe that's the point. Like, he, you know, and I'm, you know, I could be talking out of my ass here. Feel free to tell me that. But like, he is he's Sue's sacrifice. Like, I'm sacrificing my prom night. And he's the first one to die in this whole situation. But it's not even Carrie that kills him. It's the society. It's the bullshit that they did. So maybe it has a deeper meaning. Maybe not. Maybe I'm giving Stephen King too much credit.
That is what I liked about the development of his character, was that like he was always genuine. Because I think like even at the end, like I'm glad that he wasn't one of the people that Carrie thought. I mean, obviously, but he was already dead, so it's like he didn't have to be confronted by Carrie being like, unlike, you know, Miss Teacher who flew across the gym. So.
Yeah, and that I can't remember. I recognized the teacher in the 2013 remake, but I can't remember.
It was Judy Greer.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And it was just a very peculiar portrayal to me. But again, I think a good deal of it had to do with the modernization, because, like I said, she fully hit her, and then during the tampon incident, and then in the principal's office was just like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
And then like the whole rest of the movie is like, hey, how's it going? Like they're buddy the whole movie.
Because that's the thing in the like setting, even in the book and even in the original one, it's like that was the common cure for hysteria, is to slap a woman.
Yep. And the other thing is, in the book, she didn't really like her. Like, she also didn't really like Carrie. And I feel like that's important because people can tell when you don't like them. Yeah. And, you know, she was too empathetic.
I will admit, there were parts that I was just like, okay, all right. Because I was reading an ebook. Would you like to take a guess as to what parts of the book that I was like, okay, sure.
Was it the pig's blood moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
I
really quick,
killed the pigs.
It was quick, but there's another one after that. It was the setting up the everything. And I was like, why do I need to know Billy going up to the rafters, setting it up? I'm like, I don't need to know this.
I was thinking the same thing when I was reading it, because I always have a really hard time in books when they're like trying to describe something visually. I'm like, you're fighting a losing battle. I'm never going to understand what you're trying to describe.
It's too detailed that I'm like, I don't, it's not painting the picture.
That's one of the things about so I told you I went off on this kick and I read like Stephen King after Stephen King. And one of the things that I read was a novella called The Mist. And it was like not bad, except that there were all these monsters he was describing. And there are monsters. I don't have any idea what you're saying. That means nothing to me. And then at some point, he's like, they were like giant spiders. And then I was like, you could have just said that earlier.
You could have just said that.
And then I would have understood. And then the ending was really horrible. So it's literally my least favorite thing I've ever read by Stephen King. The Mist. Do not recommend. Terrible ending.
Read it.
They made that into a movie, right? Where they were all stuck in the grocery store?
I think so. Yeah, that's the storyline. How does the movie end? Have you seen it? Oh, okay. I wonder if it has the same.
Have I seen
it better?
Someone who refuses to watch. The only Stephen King's that I interacted with before Carrie was Stand By Me, which like is the most. It's a coming of age story. So
right.
Is that Stephen King?
It's a very good movie.
It's like a part of a collection, right? It wasn't like it's standalone novel.
I don't know. I
have seen Stand By Me.
Yeah. There's a dead guy in it. Of course it was Stephen King.
Yes.
I'm a really big fan of Rob Reiner.
Yes. Sick balls.
The short story it's based on is the novella it's based on is The Body, which was 1982. Okay. So it is Stephen King. Yeah.
But that's the thing, like that was my only thing for Stephen King, because I knew I was like, okay, they're all gonna be scary. So it's like, yeah. I did watch The Shining, but I knew that was so Kubrickized that it was not an equal translation. I did watch Dr. Sleep, and I did like that movie.
You liked it. The book for Dr. Sleep is even better as well. Like both of those books are better. The Shining is 10 million years long though, so it's a really big commitment. But the book is better than the movie. Although there are definitely parts, hearing you say that there are parts that you were like, and let's move it on. I can identify already in my head the parts of The Shining where you will go, and okay, let's move it on. Because I can understand why it would be that way. But anyway, all that being said, the book, the reason that I'm saying all this is because the Dr. Sleep book is eons better than the Dr. Sleep movie, but it is a sequel to The Shining, the book.
To The Shining.
And if you haven't read The Shining, the book, Dr. Sleep makes a lot less sense, the book. So anyway, but they're both good.
Oh, Stephen. And then this is just a glimpse into my childhood, but did anyone else confuse Stephen King and Stephen Hawking growing up? And it took me, like, I mean, also was not American, so I'll also play that card. Okay. But it wasn't until, like, deep into high school, I was like, oh, they're two different people. Because I literally was like, that's weird. I swore I heard him talk in an interview.
That's hilarious. Oh, I love that. I love that. You're alone in it, but I love it anyway.
They're not the same person, so. They're not. Does anyone have any final thoughts on Carrie? I mean, we didn't even really talk about, I will say, I was dreading the scene where it falls on her, the blood falls on her, and everyone laughing. When it finally got to there, I did like the tease and the lead up into it, and then immediately it goes into like outside. So Sue hearing the siren, and then like seeing like the, you know, like the transcripts of the police calls, and then it's like truly just the aftermath. You already saw, and then it was the like first person account
Of one of the
someone that
survivors.
survived. Yes, and I did like that because it was like, okay, I really didn't want to, but I like that it was from a person that was there seeing it, and like her reaction of like, after seeing Carrie being made fun of all these years, the only reaction that felt normal to all of us was to laugh at her. And like, and I think like there was a lot of reflection obviously afterwards, obviously.
Right.
But to try to like make sense of like, was there any, because I think she was saying like, there was obviously like, you feel bad, but like at the moment there's just no other reaction to do that. And then you get the Carrie point of view, and I was like, oh, I almost wish I didn't. No. Just because I don't want to relive through the pain that she does. And so I did skim a little bit, or just trying to like, at the very least just read like the, you know, the parentheticals where she kind of like, you hear her intrusive thoughts. But it was interesting that he did go back to like see what Carrie did experience. Because I almost there was something about not actually knowing what was in there that was really interesting. But I guess like from a story perspective that we should know how it went.
What the main character, the titular character is thinking before she murders everyone in her
I guess I do needed to know that. So
but the point I like the point that you're making though, in that we get removal. Like as soon as it happens, we're removed from the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is what they would have experienced as onlookers, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And then we are reintroduced to it later on. So
yeah.
Anyway, I love Stephen King. These books are so good.
And he's not Stephen Hawking. Yeah,
He's not.
Because I know people in the audience are very confused. So I will say, Allie, I agree that yes, this isn't really my genre, but loved a tight story. Loved a small, manageable, contained, spooky story. And honestly, if I were to read more horror, this is the format I would like it to be, where it's like small, contained, very essentially just scary stories to tell in the dark, but like a little extended, you know, because it just captures it. It has to get you right away of like what makes it unnerving,
worth reading.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 out of 10, but that's no surprise to anyone. So that's why I have final thoughts, but they're, you know,
I do have a feeling though that like
predictable.
If I do read more Stephen King, I think I would still hold this as like my favorite, because I think it's the non-conventional way of writing it really just holds up for me as like so creative. And I, as a person who loves a bit, when I'm reading a bit happen in front of me, I'm like, okay, yes, commit.
It's also the most succinct, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you like it to be bite-sized. This is it. This is it. That's it. That's it.
That is so funny. Oh my God. Well, thank you. We survived Carrie.
Barely.
We were one of the women who ran away and wrote a novel about it. So congratulations, everyone.
I was just going to say, I was the drunk guy that took myself to jail every night because I knew I was going to start a fight.
Again, I literally was like,
him.
Okay.
Love him.
Sure.
Loved him. He was great. I loved him. And when the guy was like, have you ever met Carrie White before? And he was like, no. And he's like, no, it's her. And he's like, I just do.
Yeah. I will say
Why are you asking stupid questions?
Right. Okay. I already told you. I don't know.
This is a last question. What were like moments that genuinely scared you? Or like unnerved you? For me, it was the two widows, or the two women, the two moms, and just like her perspective, seeing like them just trying to run away, and then her seeing people literally burn.
Yeah, that was messed up.
And the end where Carrie and Sue are like trapped in this like mental like fight. That I was like,
For me, the predictable one is the pigs. The pigs part is difficult, especially the pig that they murder and barely use any of its blood. Like that's even worse, you know? So that's one. And then one that's less predictable is the moment that we return to the stones and that mother and her daughter,
the daughter,
and the mother says to her teenage daughter, "Oh my God, that child," or something like that. Like, oh no, like she knows something bad is going to happen because of the way that Carrie's mother treats her and shelters her and whatnot. That part is goosebump-y for me.
Yeah. What about you, Allie? Any spooky parts?
This is so goddamn dark. We just did active shooter training at work. And
oh my God.
I know. So all I could think about was when they couldn't get out the doors. That was what I was like sick to my stomach about.
Fair. Welcome to America in 2022.
I know.
Yeah.
So I brought it down.
It's okay. It was a book about mass murder. It's fine.
So sorry.
It's already down. It's fine.
Well, we did it. We survived. Next month, I'm so excited. We will be reading. This was a request from Allie to read a BookTok selection. And for the olds that are watching and listening, BookTok basically is just the hashtag for like book readers, book fans on TikTok. So they'll tag their videos and their conversations. And I think one of the biggest one recently was this, because they have promoted this book and its movie adaptation almost primarily on TikTok. And it's like kind of caused a stir, let's say.
Have you seen the two actors who are playing the leads? Because please.
Please.
I have not.
They're very good looking, Kathryn.
Oh, well, we'll see if I can appreciate it. I'm sure I can.
Hold on. I'm pulling up the description. Okay, here we go. We are reading for our next selection, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. First son Alex Claremont Diaz is the closest thing to a prince this side of the Atlantic. With his intrepid sister and the Veep's genius granddaughter, they're the White House trio, a beautiful millennial marketing strategy for his mother, President Ellen Claremont. International socialite duties do have downsides, namely, when photos of a confrontation with his longtime nemesis, Prince Harry, at a royal wedding, leaked to the tabloids and threatened American-British relations. The plan for damage control? Staging a fake friendship between the first son and the prince. As President Claremont kicks off her re-election bid, Alex finds himself hurtling into a secret relationship with Henry that could derail the campaign and upend two nations. What is worth the sacrifice? How do you do all the good you can do? And most importantly, how will history remember you? The Orphanage!
There is an Alexander Hamilton cameo that is a very enjoyable moment.
Okay.
To my girls!
When is this set? What's the setting?
Present day.
Oh, okay.
Present day.
It's also a fantasy in that the 2016 election never happened. It's
isn't that a fantasy we all dream of?
What if after Obama a woman was elected? Yes. So it feeds that too.
Honestly, right there is enough that makes me have to bring it up in therapy, because it's like, this is the world that we could have had.
This is the world I'm reading the world that I should be in right now.
Reading another dimension. Can I please cut a hole in the space-time continuum and go there?
So yes, we are reading Red, White, and Royal Blue. The queers are so excited. I'm sure. And honestly, reading that reminded me of like a lot of the like Korean dramas that I watched. That one of my favorite genres is enemies to lovers. Something about it is just so good. So I'm so excited to dive in.
I'm like a 12-year-old, literally. like screaming.
Oh my God. Well, you can grab a copy of Red, White, and Royal Blue and all of the books we've read here on the Ampliverse Book Club at the Ampliverse Bookshop. And if you purchase a book there, it not only helps the Ampliverse, but also a local bookstore in your area. So you can visit that on the link below, bookshop.org/shop/the Ampliverse. Thank you everyone for watching or listening along to the Ampliverse Book Club. You can find and follow us on all of the social media at the Ampliverse. And if you want to keep the conversation going, if you read the book, please comment below. Let us know what you thought of Carrie and this Stephen King guy. I literally was about to say Stephen Hawking. It's cursed. And finally, if you love the show and the others we do here on the Ampliverse and you feel obliged to tip $1 or $2, you can on our Ko-fi that's linked on this episode. And it helps keep the lights on in our universe and helps pay for the URL. So thank you for joining our book club. Allie, Kathryn, thank you so much. And we'll see you next month. Are we dressing up? Are we dressing up as, I don't know, royals? I don't know. We'll see. We'll think about it.
Okay.
Crowns. I think we can.
I'd love a crown. I'll wear a crown.
Okay, great. Crowns and sashes, we'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you for joining our book club, and we will see you next month. Until then, read on. Bye-bye.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.